Guys, Josh from Sailing Vessel Airspeed, and although I didn't film this project every step of the way, I want to show you what I've been working on this afternoon. So I have been flushing my air conditioning cooling lines, and I was at one of the notable marine air conditioning companies in Fort Lauderdale. And by the way, they're an amazing group of people. Really super helpful, super nice. But on display, they had this flush kit that was like $498, and that was my dealer cost. So I think it might have been even like $500 or $600. And you know what it was? You're not going to believe this. It was a, oops, you're looking at me. Gotta flip the camera around. It was a 5-gallon pail. Inside it was, I don't know, a $50 or $100 bilge pump. Theirs was a little nicer than mine. It had a discharge here and then a refill valve at the top, and the bilge pump had a little 12-volt connector on it, so you could plug it into your cigarette lighter outlet. But I had a better idea. So what I was planning on doing, because I have a pretty expansive air conditioning system here, I've got, actually, believe it or not, I have 5 air conditioners on this boat. We're going to make a change, and you're going to come along for the ride when I finally make the modification. But I'll show you the 5 units. I'm not going to show you the units themselves. This is the starboard aft cabin, and this has 1. And then we have 3 in the salon. So one of the vents is there, and its controller is there. Just forward of that, we have another output airflow, and its control is over here along with the other controller, whose outflow is right there. So that's just 4 of them. And then, of course, as we go into the master cabin forward, ta-da! There's yet another air conditioner whose discharge is right there. I don't know if you know it or not, but you just got a sneak preview about what the other project was this morning that I started working on at 5:30. We'll get to that in just a sec. So, I've been having a lot of problems with my air conditioning system. There's just doesn't appear to be enough water flow to be able to cool the air conditioners down, and what that translates to is air conditioners that shut down or actually flip breakers, and they just shut off spontaneously on their own when they decide that there's not enough cooling water. And so I've noticed that the aft cabin air conditioner, who has a separate discharge on the port aft quarter, that discharge has been trickling just ever so slightly. And the trouble with that, obviously, is that air conditioner's not getting enough cooling water, and it's shutting down. And so I have snaked it. I have actually had my marine engineer, who does, all of the kind of management of all the systems on the boat when I'm away. I've had him look at it. He did just a freshwater flush and a back flush on it, and it worked great. I mean, I've been here for like 4 days, and it has worked perfectly. And then I went out to one store or the other, Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever it was, probably West Marine actually. And I came back, and the aft cabins were smoking hot, and there was an error E4 on the Marin Air air conditioners is insufficient water flow or cooling problem. So I snaked it again, and I felt like I encountered some buildup. I'm not really sure. I haven't done this like a ton of different times. So rather than go and spend $400 or $500 on this basic flush kit here, I decided to make my own. So I went up into the forepeak cabin where we keep the sails and the fenders, and I grabbed an old bucket. I went to Home Depot, and I grabbed 30 feet of inch and a half hose, inch and a quarter, sorry. And I had some extra inch and a quarter laying around, and then I just rigged it up. I grabbed some barnacle buster. Actually, the barnacle buster is right here. It's empty. I grabbed the concentrated stuff, and you mix it 4-to-1, and you let it cycle through your system. So because I have 2 separate discharges, one of them is amidships on the port side, right below the discharge from the forward air conditioner's separate cooling system, believe it or not. And the other one, like I said, is on the port stern quarter. I decided that I would kind of get a little creative. And what I did was I disconnected, here we go again. I'm really not trying to show you my fat little belly here. What I did was I disconnected the inflow from the seacock valve. I closed the valve, obviously, and then I actually made an adapter to go from this 1.5 inches down to 1.25 inches. And then I ran this hose into the bucket. Okay. Oh, where does the other end of that go? Well, it goes directly to my air conditioning circulator pump. So we are using the pump on board to circulate the Barnacle Buster solution, and that will have the added benefit of cleaning the import and the outport of the pump itself, which I'm very happy about. And of course, it spared me the need to go and purchase another pump. But I'm not that smart, because when I go to West Marine, I always go there without a plan. And so a plan, it actually turns out to be the wrong plan, quickly developed. The plan was to grab just a little bilge pump. So I grabbed this bilge pump and I wired it up to an extension wire, and I even put on a cigarette lighter adapter so I could put it into the cigarette lighter adapter plug. And of course I plugged it in and it started pumping. I used fresh water for a test. It started pumping fresh water, but unfortunately it just did not have the pressure to be able to take and move all that water through the system. And so that's when I had a light bulb eureka moment to use the pump that is on board the boat, which is 1,000 gallons per hour. It's a pretty serious pump. So Barnacle Buster recommends that you circulate it for at least an hour. Let's see if we can get in on that here. I'll hold this here for a minute. Kind of blurry. Well, trust me on this. It says at least 1 hour, and finish with a fresh water flush. Reconnect and check oil and coolant. Boy, my eyes aren't what they used to be. And really, that's why I should be wearing these reading glasses. I finally gave in at my age, which isn't that old, by the way, and gave in to the over-the-counter reading glasses. And they really work. They really work wonders for me. And I think that when I stare at a chart, whether it's an aeronautical chart or an ocean chart, a NOAA chart, I can see everything with a lot more clarity. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of wearing glasses, so we'll take those off. So that's the cooling project, the cooling flush project. But I want to give you a preview of what I did this morning. It actually started last night. Actually, it started like the day that I bought the boat. I came to realize that the lighting in literally all the cabins was totally messed up. And actually, in the salon, it was okay. The switches did what you asked them to do for the most part. But I did notice a lot of corrosion on the switches. But one thing I noticed is that there was a panoply, a menagerie of on-off switches and pulse on-off switches. So a pulse on-off switch is basically talking to a relay of some sort, or a computer or a control board of some sort. And what it's doing is saying, hey, flip this relay and turn these lights on. So I came to notice a couple of weeks ago that when I turned the lights on in the salon, the port side lights came on without any problem, yet the starboard lights did not come on, and a buzzing noise was coming out from behind the panel here. And that is just telltale classic relay problem. So I dug into this whole relay issue or into this whole lighting schematic situation, and I came to realize that there are 3 lighting control computers, not really computers, but they're circuit boards on board, and I'm going to show you what they look like. So they come in two varieties, and this is one of the varieties. And what's interesting here is I labeled every one from where they came from. This one I found in a drawer before I even knew what it was, and I'm like, well, that looks kind of, I don't know, kind of important maybe. I guess I'll keep it. And then when I was going through the port aft cabin under the bunks in the storage locker, I came across this one, so I labeled it spare from aft cabin. And after I dug into the schematics, I found that there was another one in the master cabin, and it was located under this panel here. So, being the kind of electrical geek and computer geek that I am, I kind of went back to my hobby electronic days and said, well, I mean, do I really need a relay-based system in the boat? And the reality is no, I don't. And wherever there's a circuit board of any kind in a boat, especially in a saltwater environment, it is asking for trouble. And there's a reason why this prior owner had a couple of spares on the boat. Well, by the way, I tested the spares and they don't work. Oh, I forgot to tell you that there's another one of these things behind here. I haven't taken it out. So I decided last night to really hit the books and study the schematics, and not gonna lie, I had a couple glasses of wine figuring, well, what's the worst that can happen? I fall asleep, which is probably what would end up happening if I was reading these schematics without a couple glasses of wine. And this is what I found. I found 3 of these, and then 3 of the related schematics for where every single one of these runs go to. And I started to untangle it, and I decided, well, I'm going to make up a couple of test leads, and I'm going to dig into the first one, which is going to be the aft cabin, because it was the most accessible controller. Now, when I refer to a controller, I'm referring to that circuit board that I showed you with all the spares. Now, that controller is located behind this top panel here. Let me move this out of the way. Zoom out a little bit here. Move this out of the way. We can't disturb this, that's for sure, while that's running. We unlock this. We unlock that. And then we pull this gently back. I'm just going to show you here. That is where that control board lives. It's disconnected. You can see all the leads for the power input side and then for the lighting output side. So what I did is I just tested every single combination. Well, first of all, I figured out what was hot, what was the switch, and when the switch became hot, and that is what's going to lead back to the switch leads, actually. And then what I did is I mapped it out, and then I made some jumpers, some jumper wires. And then I zip tied the whole apparatus together, and you're not going to believe it, it worked perfectly on the first try. But I want to show you something real quick. After you replace or you remove and you eliminate that control board from the equation, now you have no relays that when you touch the pulse button, the pulse on-off switch, you have nothing that is going to turn that light on and then turn the light off. So if you leave those pulse switches in, well, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get pulses. So in the port cabin, aft cabin, I have left the pulse in here just because I haven't gotten to it yet. And you can see the lights work. Oh, look at that. And when you let go, it's gone. Now, knowing that I was going to tackle this project eventually, I ordered a bunch of switches, marinized on-off switches, and they were the wrong diameter. So I have everything wired and connected up, but they are not permanently installed. So let's go back behind the staircase, and I'll show you how the switch looks. So what I did is I just left it dangling here. I got illuminated switches, and they're illuminated in a kind of a soft red ring. It doesn't look too soft in the video, that's for sure. And when you click it like that, turn the light on, it goes out. But see, I'm not holding it in. You can see that the switch is depressed. And then the starboard cabin, the lights went on, off, on, off. Now, of course, what I'm going to end up doing is relocating that switch. And the home for that switch is going to be right in that hole right there. Really hard to get these things out. I had to drill one of the other ones out. But I'm going to show you my handiwork up in the master cabin. Ta-da! Now, this one was a little more complicated and required a little bit more patience, something I don't have a ton of, but I actually got up this morning at like 5 or 5:30, and I was shirtless and in my my PJs, and I was walking around the salon and started to work on all this wiring here. But you'll notice here, there's one light here, there's another light there, another light there, another one there, another one there. There's actually one here. There's actually a whole bunch of these on board, and these are manual on-off lights. And I mean, that's cool in a way, I guess. So what happened is there were several switch locations, and this is the entrance to the master cabin. And after troubleshooting all of these switches, you'll see that this switch I have designated to control those two and that one light. Now, next to the port side of the bed, I mean, I'm facing forward here, guys, just so you know. It's a master cabin forward. There's another switch here, which I've not replaced yet. And then there is another switch on the starboard side, which is wired through the forward, the forepeak cabin, which is really just a sail locker. And I've designated this switch to be the two lights directly above the bed, like just like that. So, you know, if you want the rest of the room dark and you want to read, you can read, and then just turn. Having owned this boat now for about 3 months and having to endure having no light here except the light from my DeWalt 20-volt lithium flashlight, LED flashlight, I like to leave the lights on. So that's what we're gonna do. And it's pretty exciting still, just to think that I have light in here. It's the simple things, you know. I've got this amazing yacht, and the thing I'm the most excited about right now is having light in the forward cabin. But back to reality here. I am in the salon, and it's literally like 25 or 30 degrees warmer in here because there's no air conditioning running. And it's a total mess. It's a total pig. Look at this. This is all my electrical stuff. I've got a heat gun, I've got a tool bag, GoPro camera stuff, toolboxes, tools, you name. I mean, it's just a mess. And then of course I have the office. And then I have the chart table, which has more tools and these lovely control boards. If anyone wants a control board, let me know. And the first couple people to ask me for one, I'll send it to them. I don't want it. And so here we are, and our little flushing system is working famously. It's really, really working well. I'm very happy. And the water is getting kind of nasty, kind of, I don't know, like discolored, and it stinks. It really stinks in here. But if we can keep the air conditioning working, that will be awesome. Oh my gosh, guys, I totally forgot that we have been working on another project, and we removed all of the lifelines from the boat. You can see here they're all gone. And so the deck is a total mess. The guy that's supposed to be washing the boat has not come by, and I'm wondering why. But we took the lifelines off. We had a couple of slightly bent lifeline stanchions, took those off. We're gonna get those, try to straighten them out if possible, and in the alternative, have to replace them, obviously. There's another one right there. And we previously had the old wire covered with vinyl, the white vinyl, and the white vinyl just traps the water. Oh guys, I'm just gonna flip the camera around and show you something right now. This is a beautiful Lagoon 77, I believe it is. He's just coming in. He is the largest boat at the marina, and incidentally, I'm the second largest. He's a lot bigger than me. He's 22 feet bigger than me. But I just happened to glance around and saw him coming in. What a beautiful boat. Anyways, back to lifelines. I guess the new trend is that people are using exposed stainless wire, and they're beefing up the diameter of the wire, and it looks really, really good. There's a beautiful Island Packet right next to me. He has the exposed stainless wire lifelines. I don't know if you can see. It's just way cleaner and much more precision looking, if that makes sense. So those should be coming in soon, and there are tons of additional projects. We are replacing all of the running rigging and having the sails repaired. There's nothing really wrong, but just checked, and minor like stitching, and having the sails laundered and cleaned. And then we're going to be ready to go, I think. Whatever that means, we're still figuring out the plan. But for now, I'm glad I had this chance to do a quick little video for you. And if you liked this type of video, or this video in particular, we'd appreciate you hitting the thumbs up button. That tells YouTube that you want to see this type of content, and maybe they'll even promote it to some other people. We're a new, young, brand new channel, and it'd be nice to get some other people in our circle. And if you haven't subscribed to us, that's something that you can do to help us, and it's completely free to you. Just hit the subscribe button, and then there's a little bell button right next to it where you can be notified about videos that we come out with in the future. And for now, for just a second, I'm going to give you a quick panoramic shot of Biscayne Bay in Miami. Have a great day, guys.